last year, we've kind of come back to our roots, which is the Shore Conference and Region 6. And so we've been tapping into our friends that are coaches or former coaches in the Shore Conference and doing our part to promote the sport, grow the sport, and just reconnect with old friends and have good conversations. And even though we're not living in New Jersey right now, we take a lot of pride that we are from New Jersey. So anytime we can promote what's going on in New Jersey and especially the Shore Conference, we like to do that. So we're honored to have you with us and hear all about what the Colts have going on.
Awesome, man. I look forward to it.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Howdy and aloha. We are here, you are there, and we greatly appreciate you tuning in. Tonight, we're stepping back on the mat to go belly to belly with Coach Billy Ashnault, head coach at Christian Brothers Academy. But before we get started, you all know the drill. Make sure you smash that like button and are subscribed on YouTube. Drop a comment. Every view, review, share helps grow the sport, grow and give back to the sport we love. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast. And as always, this episode is fueled by Black Sheep Endurance for all your ultra marathon and nutrition coaching needs. Let's not forget while we're here to shine a light on the program's coaches and mentors we wish we had access to growing up. If you or someone you know is looking for the right fit at the next level, send this their way. Let's go belly to belly with Coach Ashnault. As I mentioned, he is the head coach of Christian Brothers Academy. He's been there since 2018. Since that time, he has led CBA to a 2022 South Jersey Non-Public A State Championships, a 2022 Shore Conference title, 4 district team championships, 5 divisional titles, and he's coached 23 individual NJSIAA state medalists, including 2025 champ Paul Kenny. While he was at Rutgers, he was the director of operations for the wrestling team, and he helped produce 8 All-Americans. He was a 3-time NCAA qualifier and a senior captain at Rutgers with a top 12 national ranking. He was 128 and 25 at South Plainfield High School. He was a 4-time state qualifier, a state finalist, and he was a part of 3 state championship teams. Without further ado, it is an honor and pleasure. We do greatly appreciate your time. Coach Ashnault, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. We're stoked to get into it with you. We've been following from afar for quite a long time, so we want to dive into all that you got going on with the Colts. Before we get too deep into it, anything you got going on this summer, camps, anywhere you want the fans to either find you or to find the Colts on social media, the floor is yours.
Yeah, we actually just finished our 3rd day of camp today. Tomorrow's the last day. So we do K through 8 camp, open at any and all. I think this week we have about 90 kids, I would say, around 90 K through 8 kids. Our current high school guys come and be camp counselors. We have, as you guys know, the wrestling names. So myself, and other guys that help us out, Hayden Rymack, Anthony Parati, Vinny Delafov, my brother Anthony Ashnault, Sebastian Rivera was here today, Ray Kenny, who helps coach with me. All those guys come in and we put together and run a good camp and try and put a good experience together from anybody. There's actually some 4-year-olds here, so it was fun, man. We try and do a good job, make it fun, and obviously get better at wrestling, but just trying to bond with these kids. So the summer kind of wrestling wise from us is focusing on the camps. The guys on the current team, they're focused on getting better, and I look at it as like getting into the national rankings, because they're all going to national tournaments, Fargo, the US Open, team trials, and then follow up in the fall with the Super 32. So selfishly for the guys, they're trying to reach their goals, and for us, we're just trying to build the brand here in the summer, what we're allowed to do, and that's the best thing I see, doing a camp K through 8, and try and build the brand. So during the summer right now, that's kind of what we have going on.
Awesome. Coach, the most important thing we're going to ask you today, we know you're a North Jersey guy, but you're down in Monmouth County now. Is it pork roll or Taylor ham for you?
I'm pork roll.
Okay. Has that always been the case, even up in South Plainfield?
Not even a question.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
Rich, I will argue. I would say Billy is a Central Jersey guy.
Central Jersey. Okay. Well, we find with some of our guests that Jersey doesn't exist, even though
Yeah, it's
are
crazy.
proud Central Jersey residents.
What do you guys want me to throw up my Instagram handle and just tell you, or
Yeah, 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 yeah.
so we have the CBA one through CBA Wrestling. Is let me just make sure I got the right one here. It's just at CBA Wrestling. So that one's CBA Wrestling, and then the other one is Academy Wrestling Club. And those are the two Instagrams that we kind of throw a lot of stuff out.
Okay.
So, Billy, one thing we like to do here, we like to give a little bit of a through line for our listeners to know how we know our guests, how we came across our guests. And last summer, we actually had Dave Esposito on, and that was someone who taught Rich a lesson on not to count your chickens before you hatch. And you are someone who taught me not to count my chickens before they hatch and to pay attention to the guy who's on fire on the other side of the bracket and to get your head on straight when you get on a mat. You taught me a valuable lesson in the state semifinals in 2005. You had an incredible run, but I knew you prior to that because we had wrestled. I think one time in the South Plainfield tournament, and I actually used to go up on I think it was like Mondays and Wednesdays to the South Plainfield Wrestling Club where your dad coached, and your little brother was a top back then. But I could see your dad had the magic at South Plainfield. He was teaching everyone all the cradles and everything that South Plainfield was famous for the next couple of years. But all the young tykes that wound up being state champs, your dad was running that program. So I've been aware of you and your family for a long time, and it's awesome because when someone beats you in a tournament or you see someone do well, right? We the Aries, we always root for the people who beat us because they beat us, so we want them to do good. And you had a great college career. Your brother had a great career, and you're out obviously doing great things at CBA. So it's been awesome to watch from afar.
Yeah, no, man, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I vaguely remember us wrestling. I'll be honest, man, I'm not one of those crazy guys. Like, I remember 2005, this move, that move. I really don't.
I
It's because you
remember.
won.
Yeah, I wake up in cold sweats, Billy. So,
Well, I think we should tell them the story about after how I got you out of the funk
all
to
right.
get ready for the
All right.
wrestlebacks.
So, well, I got pollywopped by you, and then I don't know. It seemed like it was 45 minutes, but it was probably a couple hours. John Trebetti pollywopped me in the wrestleback semis, and afterwards my family was going out to dinner, and I was not in good shape, man. You've been there, right? You've had tough losses, you know how it goes. I was not in good shape, and my family was like trying to figure out where to eat, and you know how Atlantic City is during that time. It's mobbed. It's
Yeah,
hard to find a place to eat. So I forget what hotel we were at. We might have been at Bailey's or something, and we walked into like a courtyard, and there was like a buffet that like looked into this courtyard. So there was all these families like sitting there eating their dinner, and my family was like arguing, trying to figure out what was going around. I was just moping, and I got up on like this windowsill, and I looked in at this family that was like eating their dinner, this like old couple, and he came up from behind me and he pantsed me, and I didn't have any underwear on, so I'm just standing there in the middle of this courtyard, and then I wound up chasing him, and that's how I got out of the funk and got ready for that fifth place match.
hey, brotherly love, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, Billy, knowing that your dad ran a program, the rec program at South Plainfield, how did you get into wrestling? What's your origin story?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just I liked obviously the culture at most programs. What it's when it starts and whatever. South Plainfield was just one of those things. They just had a tradition, and obviously still have a tradition. Like, you started wrestling at a certain age, whenever that was. Kindergarten was like back when I started. I think it was just kindergarten. You started officially going whatever Monday, Wednesday, Monday, Thursday, whenever it was. And my dad just basically probably just brought me around and just did it. And they just had a strong program where you went Monday, then you went Thursday, Monday, Thursday, Monday, Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, whatever the 2 days were, and you got it into a routine, and that was kind of it. And I think I got into it, just kind of, obviously my parents bringing me along to it, but just being surrounded by people that kind of cared, because it was consistency. So
So South Plainfield was a powerhouse. You guys were always in that winning the group and going to the final four of the group. I
yeah,
guess it group 3 you guys were in South Plainfield?
I believe majority was group 3.
Yeah. So always there, and you had Jimmy Conroy, who was always
Hmm.
placed in the States as a workout partner. So what was that like for you coming up in that room?
Yeah, I mean, it was like when you say workout partners and stuff at South Plainfield, it was like, yeah, you guys with a group of kids that you want to work hard, you're gonna always have a kid that kind of you can work harder with. It was rare that you're the best kid kind of in the room consistently.
Was it hard for you going to college, or like as far as everyone talks about that first year in college, not getting the takedown for first couple months because it's so rough in the room? Were you kind of already used to, hey, I'm not gonna be the best guy in this room, so I'm just gonna put my nose down? Was that like an easy adjustment for you?
I mean, in college, it's funny because I like placed in a state sophomore year that I never placed in a state junior, senior year. So I was like, wrestling was like, I was thinking about like, do I really want to wrestle in college? I was kind of average student, always got by. And it was like the options kind of limited, but you definitely get recruited by other by schools, some big schools, small schools, and ended up at Lock Haven, obviously Division 1. And we had like 6 New Jersey guys go there. I don't know if you knew that. It was like Luke Lano, John Trombetti went there. It was a John Mangini. So a lot of Jersey guys went there. So once you got there, it was kind of Pennsylvania school. You got to prove yourself a little bit, once you're from Jersey going to a school in PA. So I think that kind of helped a little bit get me more, competitive and want to do something.
Billy, at what point did coaching come onto your radar as something you wanted to get involved with?
I was at Rutgers. Once I graduated from Rutgers, transferred from Lock Haven, and I think it was Memorial Day weekend. It was in whenever it was a holiday weekend. Somebody called me. It was actually a somebody who supported the Rutgers program, so it was like a donor there that I kind of dealt with when I was working at Rutgers, and they were like, "This position opened up at CBA head coach. I think you would be great for it. Do you mind if I call Coach Goodell and see if I could offer you the position?" And it was at a time in my life where I was starting like gonna want to build a family and stuff, and I felt like it was a great opportunity to make a step in something different. So when you say, has coaching ever been like there? No, I didn't want to until that person asked me if I want to be a coach for high school.
What
So
was
we,
the what was the shift from Lock Haven to Rutgers like?
Uh, Drastic, I guess you could
Yeah.
say. Lock Haven has an amazing tradition. And they were just going through a bunch of different coaching changes at the time that we all went there and stayed there. So it was kind of like most schools, you're on your own a lot, but there you're a small school and wrestling tradition is important. So you're either working really, really hard by yourself and want to achieve your goal selfishly with a bunch of coaching changes in any sport. It's tough. So you put your head down and go to work, which I did selfishly. And then Coach Goodell got the job at Rutgers. And I made my way back there. So jumping into Rutgers it was kind of like starting college over again. You're going from 3,000 person school to a whatever 20,000 plus person school, and wrestling at Rutgers when I was there isn't like it is today, it's just totally different atmosphere and everything. They're crushing it.
Yeah.
did you transfer there 2008, 2009? Was that your first year?
So I graduated high school '07 and then went Lock Haven for 2 years. So '08, '09, right? And then Rutgers 11, 10, 11, 12.
So was it still on the ground floor as far as building? Did you feel like you guys were still building, or did you kind of get in there in the middle where they were kind of on the rise?
Where at Rutgers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they were on the rise, but I mean still obviously outside of building stage, you could say. There was this All-Americans probably a year after I left, a year or two.
And what was it like for you? Because you were the director of ops when your brother was there, so I'm sure you had kind of hands on helping him and stuff. What was that like for you, watching your brother come up through the high school ranks, one of the best wrestlers the state of New Jersey's ever seen, and then win a national title?
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Like anything in a competitive world in business and athletics, and then being family, being brothers, we fight a lot, we get along a lot, we love each other, we hate each other. So at a high level where he's at, I'm working. I mean, there were some banging heads, not really so much on the wrestling mat, but just in life and discussions and talking. And he lived his life a certain way as a student athlete, and then I'm getting ready to get married and whatever and have kids, so it's a little bit different in that and the way we battled, but it all worked out, man. I think we bonded like great, and my advice to him worked out. His advice to me kind of worked out. We kind of saw the bigger picture, like wrestling is important, but I think we kind of got to the end goal there. Like even when he was at Rutgers, like it's more about life here, man. Like you got to do the right things in life, and I do the right things, and it's all gonna work out.
Billy, what's the age difference between you two?
So he just turned 30 in this month, and I'm 36. So
Okay,
there's 6 years. Yeah.
6 years. So at what point, at what point did the young buck overtake the older stag?
I don't know, man. Like we used to wrestle like I don't even know how many years ago, but I just joke around like when I knew I was like kind of faded out,
Yeah.
like let's like I'll go first takedown and then we're done. I'd get a quick takedown and then be done. I think I like kind of just got. I didn't think I gave him a chance to kind of beat me up. I always probably just walked away or like found something else to do, and you know.
It's like Neil Young says, better burn out than fade away.
It's like I can go first take, man. Let's go.
Billy, so you got camp going right now in the summer. How many kids you guys got going to Fargo?
There's about 10 to 12 kids going within our program, which is friggin' awesome in my opinion. Um, I personally let the guys kind of do their thing in the summer. Obviously, I monitor them around the rules, like what we can do wrestling wise and stuff that you can't really do so much, but like monitoring, talking to them, and I want them kind of to branch out and do it on their own because what we're doing here at CBA is like we go to 3, 4 national tournaments a year. Sometimes we leave Friday, we get back Sunday, and I treat it like college program, so I'm with them a lot. Like I'm in the hotel with them. I do everything with them in a good way. Like so in the summer, you kind of want to give them a little bit of space to do that stuff. But as far as like my opinion, I think it's working out pretty good.
Are you involved with Team New Jersey as well?
No, I'm
No.
not.
Okay.
Yeah, they actually hosted their like Team New Jersey camp for Fargo here for 2 years. They're not this year. This year it was at Princeton actually.
No more Blair Academy?
No, they haven't had it there in years.
Wow.
Dang,
Yeah.
we are getting old, Rich.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. There's been I don't even like Team New Jersey. There's a lot of like change and stuff with that, the organization. I kind of stay out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
So, Billy, one thing we talk to a lot of the college coaches about is running the program like a CEO, and you have that director of ops experience coming from Rutgers.
Yeah.
How much of the program at CBA are you running like it's a business, and are you running like a coach?
Yeah, I would say like I want to be hands-on from a standpoint of scheduling practices to mopping the mats. I do that stuff and I want to do that stuff. I want to set an example for these guys. Um, and on the other hand, I'm fortunate to have volunteer coaches, regular coaches, training partners that are all kind of Division 1 guys, Division 3, Division 2 guys that wrestled their whole life. So I'm not afraid to kind of let those guys kind of run a little bit of practice, run this, do that, talk to guys, I don't want to like overmanage the guys because these high school kids nowadays, they have unlimited like resources, but they got to like take advantage of the resources. So if I'm like micromanaging and saying running it like a boot camp, these kids like fade away a little bit. I want them to bond with us and make relationships and with us and the coaches also. But I want to make sure like I'm setting an example and like this is the way my program's gonna run, you know. I'm not letting these guys like goof off and do whatever the heck they want. You know, there's gonna be some consequences there.
So taking over the program in 2018, and Rich said, I believe you got 23 or 24 state place winners. Are you where you wanted to be or where you thought you would be when you took the program over?
Yeah, and when I took the program over, I had I think the first year we had like only like a couple dual meet wins the first like 3 years, like a handful of dual meet wins, like as a team. So like coming in, we had like a state qualifier first year, and that was like his goal. His goal was to be a state qualifier. They're like, if you get this kid to states, that's amazing. So in my head, I wanted to be better, and you can recruit now. It's crazy. Like the K through eighth graders, like me coming up into high school, into coaching, like I recruit was like, you can't like recruit guys. But then coming to a private school, it's like you have to if you want to compete with these top level teams. Like if you want to get to number one in the state of New Jersey right now, you got to put a lot of time in. And it kind of from year one here at CBA to now, it's like night and day. It's totally different. We just didn't have any horses there year one to compete for a state title, you know? I think midway through my coaching career, like the guys we had some guys that compete for were in the state finals. They lost. We were like 0 for 4, 0 for 5 in the state finals, and they all wanted to be state champs. It didn't work out. And then this kind of another phase here where we're consistently in the top 4, top 5 in the state. Like state champ is kind of what you're shooting for individually, but as a team, I mean, it's going to take care of itself if you're still running a good program, you know, from my end.
Yeah, when I graduated in 94, and it was a rare occurrence. I think in the 4 years that I was in high school, there might have been one or two kids from CBA that were placed at regions. That time the parochial schools, the non-public schools didn't really have a factor in the short conference in wrestling. Uh, you're a public school guy as well, but now we've seen such a rise in the non-public schools with the wrestling. Is it obviously coaching is a big factor? Is there more to it than the coaching and the recruiting aspect of it?
Oh yeah, I mean it's like basically similar to a college program you would say, and the resources the guys have to go get better, you know, like different wrestling clubs now and the resources there, but then also like the extracurricular activities that these kids get into, you know, like I feel like when I was in high school, like I'm scared of the lunch lady, I'm scared of the gym teacher, I'm scared of everybody. I feel like nowadays it's like these kids take it for granted, and you got to kind of remind them like these days are important. Like don't goof off and don't act like you're too cool, man, because you gotta put the work in to get better. Like you can't just do whatever you want and expect to win. There's everybody's at a high level, and especially our schedule.
What what you talk about that schedule? What are some of those big like national level competition you guys are hitting up?
The consistently in the last few years, we went to a couple years ago. We started going went to Beast of the East 1 or 2 years. Now we go to Powerade every year. We go to Escape the Rock tournament every year. Next year we're going to Ironman. So next year's the first year New Jersey teams can go to Ironman because the date when you can start competition. So we're going to Ironman next year. And then we last year we hosted Catholic school duels, which Del Barton, St. Joe's, St. Peter's, those teams were all here along with like 13, 14 other private school teams, which we scheduled that we do dual meets with them. Um, and then individually we wrestle Southern now every year. We're in the same conference. Rumston, which is really good now. Um, and you wrestle all the top short teams, SJV. You're all in the same type bracket, Brook Memorial, and you're gonna be in the same bracket next year. So dual meet wise, they kind of made it really competitive that way.
How do you manage that as far as with training and peaking, right? You got 3 or 4 really tough tournaments at the beginning of the season. Seems like your dual schedule doesn't give you a chance to breathe. Do you have enough guys who are, backups to kind of fill in the lineup during the duels, or is it once the season starts, you guys are all hands on deck?
Yeah, I mean, we treat our program like there's a JV team, obviously. There's no freshman team in wrestling, unfortunately. Our guys, we have one practice. Our JV guys practice with the varsity guys. Our first year guys practice with the state champ guys, all in the same room, same time, which is great in my opinion. Some kids don't make it because it's competitive and it's hard. But I think it sets you up for when you need somebody to step in a big dual meet when you're not wrestling, you're wrestling a Southern, you're wrestling around Brook Memorial SJV. Those teams are all good. When you need someone to step in, they're kind of more prepared because they've been in a room with guys and seeing what it takes, when you're under the spotlight. So it is hard though. I mean, to make sure you're ready for when you go into power weight and you're coming back that week and you have a wrestling a Southern that's nationally ranked.
Do you, I mean, with the level of kids that you have, the athletes do you have, are you still having kids that are coming in as ninth graders and it's their first year wrestling?
Yeah, we do.
Really?
Yeah, we always have a handful every year.
Interesting.
It is. It's very interesting. It's tough. It's tough to keep them all engaged and keep them all like there's some kids that freshman year, I mean, you're a hard kid, you're an athlete, and then you come to a school like this and you watch our matches, you see national tournaments, you don't really see a place for you, but you want to make the lineup and you want to wrestle.
Are you in the school?
No, I'm just a teacher. I mean, I'm just a coach. I'm not a teacher.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you find that is beneficial for your mental health, not being in there all
Yeah,
day long?
for sure. At wrestling, you're teaching these kids in wrestling. And
Yeah.
when we're with them, like going to national tournaments, you're with them over two nights. You're seeing them a lot, and I think it's great. We'll see what happens as the years go on. If I can find a way in here, I think it could benefit more. If I could do that for my like, it depends what I can kind of do for myself too. With the
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Do you have a coach that works in the school, or are you guys outside of the school?
No, one coach, Mike Tomeno, coaches in school. I don't know if you guys know the name. He wrestled at Maryland.
Okay.
So I guess that probably helps during the day as far as keeping tabs on the guys and making sure everything is copacetic with them as far as being on weight and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking on the board right here. What year Tomino graduated? That's what I was looking at.
He's like the 80s, right?
94,
Yeah.
95.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, so him, yeah. So yeah, he's in the building. He's been a teacher here for since he graduated kind of college. So he's inbound here. And anything I need, I reach out to him. But I only live 5 minutes from the school, so I'm here a lot.
And as far as the roster, because when we were coming up, we were both grew up as runners and we both went to Cole Camp. So we knew CBA on the running side, and CBA is a dynasty when it comes to running. But as far as when we were coming up, CBA was Monmouth, Ocean County. Is majority of your team Monmouth, Ocean County kids?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Not really. I would say 75% of the roster, the starters, they travel like 50, 60 minutes plus every day. So one way. We had a good group from Mercer County, a bunch of kids from Mercer County that kind of come this way. It seems like the kids close by. I mean, short conference is amazing. So those kids that are growing up in different programs, they're kind of staying home. So, which is a good thing. I mean, I don't I come from a public school, so I think that's great. If a kid grows up in a certain school and wants to stay there, good for them. I mean, we have resources. If they want to come to us and we can help them, they're going to be ours. But you got to respect their decision too.
And as far as the education, when I was in high school, I always wanted to go to CBA. And my parents were like, "You're not going to get in. Like, we're not even going to waste our time. We're not going to get in." How hard is it to get into CBA, and how hard is the academics once you do get in there?
It's demanding for sure. They're not going to kiss your butt here. They're going to help you. We have kids that fail class freshman year. Um, they then sophomore year they're not failing a class, But it's a different standard. They hold you accountable, I guess is the best word to say it. They're gonna make sure you're doing your stuff, and they're gonna make sure that when you leave CBA, you're on your own in college, and hopefully, what they taught you, you're gonna do that, in college, because you're not calling mom, you're not gonna see mom and dad as much as you need something.
And you said you had some kids doing some traveling. So how do you manage that as far as, all right, we're going to have a 90-minute to 2-hour practice. You got to travel 50 minutes one way to get home.
Yeah.
Then you got a bunch of schoolwork to do. Do you have study hall before practice? How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of get reports on the kids every week, grade wise. I like to be real hands on in that aspect too. I don't want any surprises. If I see a kid's not been struggling in a class, like we're gonna get him the resources either during the day or talk to him before or after practice. And if you need to spend some time doing that before practice, we do that. That does happen. Go to extra help. You're 10 minutes late to practice. Go ahead.
Is there a big difference between coaching at the college level, working with the kids at Rutgers and as it is with the kids at CBA, or is it pretty on point because it's such a high academic place?
Yeah, I would say that it's not much different in what's in front of them and what they have to do and the accountability aspect. I would say it's more like the freedom in college. You have more freedom than you do here. That's the biggest difference.
Okay.
Billy, when a kid comes to your table, parents come to your table, maybe before they've decided, maybe come to the club there, they've come to a summer camp, and they ask like, "Hey, I want to come to CBA." What is your goal for a kid day one, and then graduating?
Yeah, I mean, if a kid wants to be here at CBA, that's the number one thing, right? They want to be here. They believe in what you're doing. So we're gonna be like, that's awesome. Let's go. If that kid maybe his goal is to make it to the state tournament his freshman year, we're going to do everything we can for him to do that. If he has somebody in front of him that's a state place winner returning, like that kid's going to wrestle off a state place winner. If he wins, maybe he's the guy. You know, I want to make sure they understand what's in front of them, because it's easy to talk to parents and kids. And this is what we want to do. We're going to be a certain weight when we're in high school when you don't know what weight you're going to be. So that's like a lot of parents and kids, they want to be certain weight classes. And it's rare that that happens because you got months, especially right now, you got months so these kids mature so quick. So the biggest thing is like, I think you got to really tell the parents what's in front of them and you're going to treat it fair and you're going to be fair. And if that's something they want to do, then that's the most important thing.
You talk about having kids that want to be at CBA. We know wrestling, just like any other sport, there are some overbearing, maybe some parents that are trying to live vicariously through their kids. Do you have those encounters as well too, where maybe the parents want the kid to go to CBA more than the kid wants to go there?
I mean, being at a private school, like, yeah, I knew this coming in, like, you're gonna talk to parents more than other schools, you're definitely gonna be able to talk, but it's on like myself to what message am I telling them, you know, and I'm telling every parent the same message: follow the process. You want to apply, you apply here, admissions, blah blah blah. This is how the programs ran, and I've been pretty successful. I mean, I wouldn't say like parents it doesn't they don't that doesn't affect me, like going into year 8 here, it doesn't affect me as a coach.
Go ahead, Jim.
Billy, before we got going here, I mentioned how I used to go to PAL and your dad used to run practice, and I always used to say to Rich when South Plainfield was going for their runs, and winning state title after state title, I would always say, it's Mr. Astronaut. It's that rec program. That rec program's a dynasty. They go there. They all have the cradle. They all have their certain moves. You go watch the kids at states. They're hitting the same moves. How much of an influence did your dad have on your coaching style?
I think just the example he set, and I said that earlier with like myself setting an example for my team. I think it just goes back to what he did and just setting an example. And I think we just bought in and kind of, followed it before you even knew what was going on. And you get into routine, and then routine takes over with what you do every day in and day out.
This isn't a question, but it always used to just blow my mind walking into that PAL, and there was I don't know if it was 4 or 6 wrestle mats. It seemed like they were always down. I was like, wait, there's a town that has a space with just wrestle mats? I was like, oh, that's why they're so good.
Yeah, no, it's formats. Yeah.
4 mats, yeah. Is that still a thing there?
Yeah, that's still
Yeah.
there.
All
PAL's
right.
still there.
And Rich, one last one I got for Billy before we get into the final four. You mentioned having that summer camp, and you mentioned sorry about that. You mentioned the summer camp, you mentioned some of the counselors there, you mentioned Sebastian Rivera. How much does it help having him as alumni at CBA, who is multiple time All-American, made it on the podium at the Olympics? How much does that help when people are looking at CBA to know that there was a guy there that competed at the highest levels and relatively recently?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, he graduated here, CBA 2016, and went on to do his thing, college, international, and still going. Um, he's the type of dude that just ties his shoes and gets to work, man. Like he came today for the camp, and it's like you warm up a little bit and then let's go. Sebastian showing these guys moves, whatever, putting them through a practice, but he's a goer. So I like that. He doesn't need much. He needs a wrestling mat, and that kind of goes back to show how he's been so successful. He doesn't need much. He has whatever he needs in front of him. He gets to work. So the guys, they look up to him. Even the kids that were at camp here, Sebastian's coming. They're like, "Oh, that's awesome. Where is he? Where is he?" So he's well known.
Billy, last one I got for you. You're a public school guy, but you're now working in a private school. We've seen a rise of the private schools over the last couple of years. What's your take on, we've had a lot of public school coaches too. New Jersey's one of the only states still that has one true state champion. What are your thoughts on the state championship, the team championships, those sorts of things with the way that things are set up now?
Yeah, there's always a lot of talk, and I'm in those talks, regarding like public school, private school, separating it and all that stuff. I'm a firm believer in like New Jersey, the state tournament at Boardwalk Hall is amazing. You can't change that. Kids dream to be there. Doesn't matter what school you go to, private or public. I mean, if your dream is to be a Boardwalk Hall and your hand raised on one mat, the best man's winning that. So I even if I was at a public school, I would say the same thing, not just because I'm at a private school. Um, I think they got to look at it as the future of the kid, and take the school aspect out of it, the individual state tournament. Because there's a lot of people that kind of think that they should separate that. But I think you got to look at it as the kid, an individual kid who's worked his whole life, no matter which route he's taken. He wants a chance to be in the middle mat at Boardwalk Hall and being the only New Jersey state champion. You
Amen.
know?
Hey, man, we're on the same page with
Yeah.
you there, Billy. All right, Billy, final four, sir. First one I got for you. Are you a coffee drinker?
Yes.
How do you brew your coffee and how do you take it?
I'm a quick my man, Keurig, little in there, boom. Look, honestly, not black, but I could do like a little splash of anything if it's a pump of something or a splash of milk, and that's it. If I get a little fancy, I'll go rook around here, and that's the extent. But definitely, I got an iced coffee right here for this call. It's 4, 5 o'clock here in Jersey.
Is that a little Starbucks there?
Yeah, Starbucks for
Starbucks
sure.
action. All
Oh yeah.
right. Heck yeah.
Let's go.
Billy, do you have any daily practices or rituals you do on a regular basis to show up as the strongest version of Billy Ashnault?
The first that pops in my head, I'm laughing just because I go in the sauna a lot, man. I love the sauna. I got a sauna at my house.
Nice.
and I'll go in the sauna and just get a quick little sweat in with that.
How many days a week you doing that? You doing that every day?
Nah, yeah, I would if I could. If time permitted, I would, but I like to go like 2, 3 times a week.
Okay, right on.
Yeah,
Jealous. It must be nice to have at the house.
it's awesome.
Billy, what are you listening to right now? Music, podcasts, audiobooks? Are you reading anything?
No, mostly just music, I mean, getting here today for camp at 6 a.m. to set the mats, wash the mats, get a little sweat in. First thing I put on is Sugar Ray. So
Okay.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I said to I said to Rich last year when Creed was like making a resurgence. I'm like, bro, we need to bring Sugar Ray back, man. Forget Creed.
yeah.
I get that was a little Mark McGrath. Billy, last one we got to close out, a lighthearted one. Could be a food item, maybe it's a beverage, maybe you're a golfer. Do you have a guilty pleasure?
Oh, golf. Golf every day if I could. My wife would kill me. I asked her to golf. She's like, come on.
You got a, what's your handicap?
Right now I'm 12.4,
Okay.
12.4.
Okay. Have you ever played with Coach Goodell?
Yeah, I do. I do a lot, man. I used to a lot. Played with him once this year, kicked my ass, and I should be able to get back with him once or twice more this summer.
He's pretty good, huh?
He is.
Yeah.
He is. You
Is
play
there
golf?
no, I used to caddy at Manasquan River.
There you go.
I did that for middle school and high school, but I played
Some
back
of
then.
the kids on my team caddy there.
Yeah, it's a good little summer job for a high school kid for sure.
Yeah.
Is there a CBA golf outing?
We didn't have one. We used to do them, but we kind of just do one kind of big event each year, and we make it like a fundraiser and a get together.
Okay, cool.
Billy, thank you for taking time from your busy schedule. Know you had camp. Know you got kids at home that need you. So thank you so much for taking your time. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, we love watching you. We love watching what the Colts are doing. Keep doing it. We love following along and can't wait to see what you guys got going on next year.
Awesome, guys. Yeah, if you're ever back around this way, man, give me a call.
Absolutely. We'll definitely do that. We appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of your summer. Try to avoid as much traffic at the Jersey Shore as you can. And
Yeah,
good luck heading into the 2025-2026 wrestling season.
awesome. Thanks, guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's Coach Billy Ashnault from Christian Brothers Academy. That is it for us this week. We do appreciate you tuning in. We will be back next week. We've got episodes on Tuesday and Wednesday. On Tuesday night, we'll be talking to the couple NAIA athletic directors to discuss the Larafield Cup. And then we will be back on Wednesday night with the junior college athletic directors to discuss the same topic. So enjoy your week, enjoy your holiday, and we will see